This is a super interesting video. Have you ever wondered how doctors measure the progression of Parkinson's disease? Today we're going to unravel the mysteries behind Parkinson's disease rating scale, which is an essential tool used by the healthcare professionals to assess and track the symptoms of this complex condition. From tremors and stiffness to speech and movement challenges, join us as we break down the components of this crucial scale. There's actually two scales. Explain how they help in tailoring personalized treatment plans and improving the quality of life for those affected. Whether you're a patient, a caregiver, or simply curious, this will provide you with the valuable insights into the journey of managing Parkinson's disease. I welcome you back to a wobbly Parkinson's life from a daughter's perspective. I am not a doctor, just a daughter going through the Parkinson's journey with my mom. I've learned a lot over the past few years, and I want to share it with you. I've been compiling data, and I have a list of about 50 videos to create, so this should be a ton of information that may be helpful to you, or at least interesting, hopefully. Today, we're going to discuss the staging system that some experts use to rate Parkinson's disease. In years past, there was a staging system called the Hoehn and Yahr scale, which was used to evaluate Parkinson's progression in patients. However, the experts now believe that it's more helpful to determine the disease effects and how it affects a person's life individually and classify them that way. So, the new rating scale is called the Movement Disorder Society Unified Parkinson's Disease Rating Scale. What a mouthful. It's also known as the MDS-UPDRS. That's not easy to say either. Anyways, this new scale was developed in 2008, and it's the main tool that doctors use currently. However, they do still use the old scale, which I will also address. Okay, so this one is broken down into 4 different areas, and patients are given scores for each category. So 0 for normal or no problems, 1 for minimal problems, 2 for mild problems, 3 for moderate problems, and 4 for severe. It's pretty complicated. This tool includes a series of questions and physical tasks that are designed to evaluate the various aspects of the disease. Motor symptoms like tremors and rigidity, non-motor symptoms like mood and sleep disturbances, and the impact of these things on daily life. Like I said, I'm also going to discuss the old staging system that some doctors still do use. Stay tuned for that. But this MDS-UPDRS scale, I'm going to go over first. It's really, like I said, it's very complicated. I'm not going to go into super detail, but hopefully I can break it down so it's easy to understand. Okay, so there's 4 parts. Part 1 is non-motor aspects of experiences of daily living. So these are non-movement symptoms. They will test either by a physical activity or a question regarding each one of these things that I'm going to list in a second. And then they give a score of 0 through 4, 0 being no problems, up through 4, which is severe problem. Okay, so I'm just going to go through them real quick. Forgetfulness, disorientation in time and space, vivid dreams, hallucinations, delusions and paranoia, depressed mood, anxious mood, apathy, features of dopamine dysregulation syndrome, nighttime sleep problems, daytime sleepiness, pain and other sensation, urinary problems, constipation problems, lightheadedness on standing, and fatigue. So here's 3 sample questions that may be asked by the doctor for part 1. Remember, these are non-motor experiences of daily living. So, to measure cognitive impairment, they may ask, do you experience problems with memory, concentration, or thinking? And then based on how the person answers, they will give them a score from 0 to 4. 0 being no problems, 4 being a severe problem. To measure hallucination and psychosis, they may ask, do you see or hear things that others do not? Once again, they will give them a score. To measure their mood, have you felt sad, depressed, or anxious over the past week? So that's all for part 1. They will give a score on each one of those categories, and that's the part 1 score. Now, part 2. motor aspects of experiences of daily living, movement-related tasks and abilities. So once again, they will give a physical task or ask a question about these following things. And they will determine, basically by watching, listening, or the answers, what score to give. Okay, so speech, difficulty being understood, drooling and salivation, chewing and swallowing, cutting food, tiny handwriting, needing help getting dressed, buttoned, and getting the arms in the sleeves, require assistance with bathing and brushing teeth, trouble with hobbies and activities, difficulties turning in bed, tremor impact on activities, getting in and out of bed, walking, balance, falling, freezing in place. So some questions or tasks that they may ask for part 2, which are the motor experiences of daily living. To measure their speech, they're going to possibly ask them, do you have difficulties with your speech, or are you hard to understand? Now, obviously, when they answer, if they are hard to understand, the doctor is going to be able to tell that they are. To measure eating tasks, do you have trouble with eating tasks, such as cutting your food or using utensils? To measure hygiene, do you have difficulty with personal hygiene tasks, like brushing your teeth or combing your hair? So these questions and tasks, they will rank them on the same scale of 0 to 4. 0 being normal, no problems, up to severe, which would be number 4. Number 3 is motor examination. The healthcare provider will watch how the patient performs the following things and give them a score from 0 to 4. 0 meaning no problems, 4 is severe. So speech, volume and diction, reduced facial expressions, rigidity, finger tapping, slowed hand movements, rapid alternating movements of hands, pronation and supination, toe tapping, leg agility. When tapping heel on the ground, is it slow or early fatiguing? Arising from the chair, degree of difficulty, gait, shuffling, walking with difficulty, freezing of gait, postural stability, difficulty recovering balance, stooped posture, global spontaneity of movement, slow movement, lack of movement, and tremor at rest. Some sample questions for part 3. This is the motor examination. To measure tremor at rest, they will watch the patient and also ask, possibly, do you experience tremors when your hands are resting? To measure rigidity, is there stiffness in your arms, leg, or neck? To measure finger tapping, can you tap your fingers quickly and smoothly? Again, they will ask them the question and probably watch them, and then give them a score for this section, which is part 3. Part 4, motor complications. This determines how much of an impact the disease is affecting day-to-day life. How long per day are symptoms present? Do these symptoms affect how patients spend their time? Does the patient limit their plans because of the disease? So some sample questions for part 4, motor complications. To measure dyskinesia, do you experience involuntary movements during the day? To measure off state, how often do you experience a decline in the effectiveness of your medication? Does it result in increased symptoms? To measure motor fluctuations, do you have periods when your symptoms return before the next dose of medication is due? So like I said, this is a complicated system, and there's lots of data and information that the doctor uses to determine how severe each patient is for each part of the scale that I just explained. They rate each item in each part. Once again, 0 is no problem, 1 is minimal problems, 2 are mild problems, 3 are moderate problems, and 4 are severe problems. Then each part will have a score that they can use to determine the impact a particular person is affected by for that part of the scale. So, like I said, it's super complicated. I don't understand all the details. I tried to break it down in a simple way. Now, there is another scale that was used in the past, and some doctors still do use it. It's called the Hoehn and Yahr scale. This is basically 5 different stages of the disease. The doctors will do an initial diagnosis and determine which stage of the disease the patient is currently in. Then during ongoing appointments, they will reevaluate to compare current symptoms to those previously experienced. and that will allow them to determine how quickly the disease is progressing. This helps them determine the proper treatment plan. Earlier stages will probably rely on medication and lifestyle changes, while later stages may also include physical therapy, more intense medication regimens, or surgical options. It was believed that the Hoehn and Yahr scale provided a standardized way for doctors to communicate about the severity of Parkinson's disease with other healthcare providers, with patients, and also caregivers. This scale is sometimes still used for research and clinical trials to ensure that the study groups are balanced in terms of disease severity. This helps them evaluate the effectiveness of new treatments across different segments of the disease and the different stages. Before we dive into that, I want to ask you to please like the video, subscribe, and post a comment below. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Now, stage 1 of the Hoehn and Yahr scale. This is the earliest stage. Symptoms are mild and only seen on one side of the body, which is called unilateral involvement. And there is usually minimal to no functional impairment. In stage 1, the symptoms may be so mild that the person may not seek medical attention, or the physician may not be able to make a Parkinson's diagnosis or even think that the patient would have this disease. Some of the symptoms in stage 1 would be tremor, rigidity in one hand, arm, or leg on one side of the body or on one side of the face. Now, stage 2, still considered an early stage in Parkinson's disease, usually characterized by symptoms on both sides of the body, bilateral involvement, or at the midline, without impairment to balance. Stage 2 can develop months or years after stage 1. My mom still is unaffected on the left side of her body, and she's had the disease for about over 5 years. So maybe not everyone gets bilateral, and I'm not sure. Anyways, excuse me. Some symptoms of stage 2 may include loss of facial expression, decreased blinking, speech abnormalities, soft voice, monotone, fading volume after speaking loudly at first, and slurred speech. There may be rigidity of muscles of the trunk that result in neck and back pain, stoop posture, and general slowness in daily living. Diagnosis at this stage can be easier if there is a tremor. However, if stage 1 was missed and the only symptoms in stage 2 are slowness or lack of spontaneous movement, Parkinson's disease could be misrepresented as something else, age, or another disease. Okay, so stage 3, considered mid-stage, and is characterized by a loss of balance and slowness of movement. Balance is compromised in the inability to make rapid, automatic, involuntary movements necessary to prevent falls. All of the other symptoms of Parkinson's disease are present in stage 3, and generally diagnosis is easy. In stage 3 versus the higher stages, the patient is still fully independent in their daily lives at this stage. They can still dress, perform hygiene, and eat unassisted. Stage 4 is considered advanced. At this stage, it's a severely disabling disease. Patients may be able to walk or stand unassisted but are noticeably incapacitated. Many use walkers at this stage. I'm going to put a link below in the description to the walker that my mom has. It's fantastic. Anyways, the person will not be able to live in an independent lifestyle at this point and will need assistance with activities of daily life. Most people in stage 4 live with family or in assisted living of some capacity. Stage 5 is the most advanced stage. Patients in stage 5 are bedridden or confined to a wheelchair. They may not be able to rise from a chair or bed without assistance. These people will have a tendency to fall when standing or turning and may freeze and stumble when they try to walk. Around-the-clock assistance is required at this stage, and they are unable to perform any daily activities themselves. The patient may also be having delusions or hallucinations. Many people never reach stage 5. And please remember that not every patient will follow these stages, nor will they have all the symptoms of each stage. My mom did not have all of the symptoms. Thank you for joining us on this informative journey through the MDS-UPDRS and the Hoehn and Yahr scales. These are 2 critical tools in the management of Parkinson's disease. By understanding these scales, we can better appreciate the complexities of Parkinson's and the meticulous care required to manage it. These assessments not only help doctors track disease progression and tailor treatments, but also empower patients and caregivers with a clearer picture of what to expect. Knowledge is power. I always say that. The more you know, the easier it is to adjust to what's coming. just be prepared, right? As much as you can be with a disease like this. I have learned that it's very difficult. I hope this video has provided valuable insights and enhanced your understanding of how these scales contribute to improving the quality of life for those affected with Parkinson's disease. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching.